My name is Camille Madish. I'm a senior from Calvary Christian School in Hollister, and I'm performing a religious reading called The Touch of God by Max Lucado. For 5 years, no one touched me. No one. Not one person. They saw me. They spoke to me. I sensed love in their voices. I saw concern in their eyes. But I didn't feel their touch. There was no touch. Not once. No one touched me. I was untouchable. I was a leper. And no one touched me. Until today. One year, during harvest, my grip on the scythe seemed weak. The tips of my fingers numbed. First one finger, then another. Within a short time, I could grip the tool but scarcely feel it. By the end of the season, I felt nothing at all. One afternoon, I plunged my hands into a basin of water, intending to wash my face. The water reddened. My finger was bleeding freely. "It's on your clothes too," my wife said. She was behind me. Before looking at her, I looked down at the crimson spots on my robe. For the longest time, I stood over the basin, staring at my hand. Somehow, I knew my life was being forever altered. "Shall I go with you to tell the priest?" she asked. "No," I said. "I'll go alone." I turned and looked into her moist eyes. Standing next to her was our 3-year-old daughter. Squatting, I gazed into her face and stroked her cheek, saying nothing. What could I say? I stood and looked again at my wife. She touched my shoulder, and with my good hand, I touched hers. It would be our final touch. The priest didn't touch me. He covered his mouth and extended his hand, palm forward. "You are unclean," he told me. With one pronouncement, I lost my family, my farm, my future, my friends. Oh, how I repulsed those who saw me. 5 years of leprosy left my hands gnarled. Tips of my fingers were missing, as were portions of my ear and nose. At the sight of me, fathers grabbed their children. Mothers covered their faces. Children pointed and stared. How many nights did I shake my crippled fist at the silent sky? What did I do to deserve this? But never a reply. One glance, and to warn people of my presence, the announcements began. "Unclean! Unclean! Unclean!" Several weeks ago, I dared walk the road to my village. I had no intent of entering. Heaven knows I only wanted to look again upon my field, gaze upon my home, and see, perchance, the face of my wife. I did not see her, but I did see some children playing in the pasture. But then I saw him. And when I saw him, I was changed. Before he spoke, I knew he cared. Somehow, I knew he hated this disease as much as, no, more than I hated. My rage became trust, and my anger became hope. I waited until he was only paces from me, then I stepped out. "Master!" He stopped and looked in my direction, as did dozens of others. A flood of fear swept across the crowd. "Unclean!" someone shouted. Everyone stepped back, except him. He stepped toward me. Toward me. 5 years ago, my wife stepped toward me. She was the last to do so. Now he did. I did not move. I just spoke. "Lord, you heal me if you will. Had he healed me with a word, I would have been thrilled. But he wasn't satisfied with speaking to me. He drew near me. He touched me. 5 years ago, my wife touched me. No one had touched me since, until today. I will. His words were as tender as his touch. Be healed. I will never forget the one who dared to touch me. He could have healed me with a word, but he wanted to do more than heal me. He wanted to honor me, to validate me, to christen me. Imagine that. Unworthy of the touch of man, yet worthy of the touch of God.